So Marcus, you have a really interesting product out there that you're trying to get into the United States now. As I understand it, you've got distributors on both coasts, which is your first opportunity to come to Silicon Valley.
Sure.
So when I look at your product, it obviously makes a lot of sense for a lot of companies, but I also see a lot of competitors out there, or perhaps competitors from what I see.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what makes Business Plan HQ's software or methodology different than what I see from many other competitive products out there today?
Sure. Well, we use a high-touch process. We also virtualize the consulting process. So we ask the questions that a consultant would ask, rather than just providing a template of software. And then a professional consultant reviews your input before converting it into a document, provides any feedback at that point, and ensures that your beliefs are in alignment with what you're looking to do. So if you're raising your capital, if you're looking to raise capital, is your valuation within realistic guidelines? Are your percentages that you're looking to give away realistic, etc., based on the current market?
So if I understood you correctly, then many of these business planning software toolkits are not actually software, they're just templates where I guess I just fill in the blanks.
Exactly. You download it and you're on your own, whereas with us we're providing really a hybrid between engaging a consultant and working directly and just downloading a tool.
So in other words, what you're doing is you're taking a Q&A opportunity to drill down and find out what those different parts are, and then you're physically looking at my business document, whereas your competitors never physically see the business plan. Is that correct?
That's right. They never see it, never involved with it. You have no point of reference, check back. We also provide services where we can provide additional input or what have you if you're having trouble defining your market or different aspects of the business. We're not just leaving it out there in the wilderness.
So in other words, 20 years of business consulting is looking at every single business plan that comes through the businessplanhq.com website.
Yeah.
Versus the other guys is, here it is, here's a template, go get them kind of deal?
Yeah, and the other thing is they're just functionally oriented. So they say, write a section about your marketing, what have you. We actually come at it from a strategy development point of view and facilitate the creation of your strategy through a series of questions that are developed to help you drill into the core strategic issues of your business.
So the other thing I found interesting about the Business Plan HQ methodology is you have something called HyperQuestions. Can you tell me about HyperQuestions and how that plays into this Q&A that you do to create the business plan?
Yeah, well what HyperQuestions are is effectively guided logic. So I'm guiding you to create the content you need to create to connect with your target audience through questioning. So what I'll do is, if I was a consultant, I'd ask you a question, you give me an answer, I ask another question, and I drill down into that to get to the key strategic issues. So the philosophy was, what if I could replicate that in software? So the tool asks you a question, you answer it, and it uses your answer to generate the next question. And then once you've populated all the answers, we can use that content, which is very specific and targeted and not waffly, like a lot of business plans tend to be, and populate that directly through into 3 different documents. Your investor overview, which is there to get your meeting with the potential investor. Your pitch pack, so when you sit down with the investor, all your information is consistent, and then you leave behind the business plan, all done for you out of that one virtual consultation.
So how long does it take to do this? Because you have generally, a business plan takes days, weeks, months.
The feedback we've had from most of our clients is that it's saved in 2 weeks in time.
Okay.
And so you can do the toolkit between 4 and 6 hours, we say to leave to go through the process. And most people tend to find it takes 2 weeks to a month to really get to the same point of development.
Interesting. Well, here's another question for you. I mean, Silicon Valley is one of those tricky places that it kind of has, it's its own little world, so to speak. And there's a lot of VCs that say, oh, I don't want to see your business plan. There's no value in a business plan anymore. And I'm just curious what you think when a VC would say that to you as a potential startup. What would you say to that?
Well, I had that conversation last night for about 2 hours here in Silicon Valley. And the end outtake from that was the business plan is seen as a document, and it's a document they don't see huge value in because they want to have flexibility and be able to pivot. But where they do see the value is in the thinking required to create the document and the structured logic in order to be able to present a reasonable pitch on the commercial opportunity of your business, not just on the technology itself.
So let me ask you a question. Have you ever met an angel or a venture capitalist that ever gave a startup money without seeing a business plan?
No. They all say they don't want a business plan, but at the end of the day, the business plan is telling them what you're going to do with their money. So that effectively forms an element of the contract.
So
as
you're
part
gonna
of
have
the
something
sum.
to hold them to, saying this, the business plan is what we agreed. You said you're gonna do X, Y, Z in the business plan, so therefore, that's a metric for me before I give you money. So even though they say they don't want a business plan, in Silicon Valley speak for,
Well,
I don't wanna see it first,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna have to see it sooner or later. Is
Yeah,
that right?
that's right. And what they want to see are the milestones. And so our whole tool and approach is built around helping you develop your strategy, but converting that into a business model and then creating a development plan that says, this is milestone 1, here's what we're going to do, here's what we're going to achieve. This is milestone 2, this is what we're going to do, etc. And it's those activities that form the basis of a lot of the investment discussions that come out of the tool process.
So it seems like, regardless of whether or not a VC tells you they want a business plan, sooner or later you're gonna have to do it.
You have to do it anyway, and you're better off doing it before, because the questions in the toolkit were developed from the perspective of what are the 40 things an investor needs to know to put money into your business. You're better off thinking about those before you're sitting in front of the investor and having a document that's ready to go than trying to do that afterwards.
Well, it seems to make a lot of sense to me, and especially from what I've seen from the different business planning software toolkits that I've seen, it sounds like it's a clear differentiator with that hands-on
Yeah.
and that virtual consulting, the Q&A, HyperQuestions, really seems to differentiate your product in the marketplace. So let me ask you another question. Since you've been in Silicon Valley a week now, what other things that you could tell Australian entrepreneurs trying to break in the United States that you've learned in your short 1 week in Silicon Valley? Is there anything takeaways that you
Yeah, I
care to
think
share?
things are perceived as highly different here, but I think once you drill down under the differences in terminology and what have you, that it's not as different as what you might think. If you know the right person, yes, you might be able to raise $1 million on the back of an envelope, but that is the exception rather than the standard. And if you go to most of the websites of the VCs here, the first thing they need you to do is submit the business plan document. So conversion of terminology is probably the first thing to consider, but don't discount your own experience.
Well, Marcus, I really appreciate your time today. It sounds like you got a really exciting product with lots of opportunity in the United States. We look forward to interviewing you in about another year and seeing how you do, but good luck.
Yeah, thanks, David.
Have a great day, Marcus.
Thanks.